Please welcome the Walking Dead panel. Cooper Andrews and Tom Payne. Keep it going.
Whoa, hey. Okay.
Very white.
It is so nice to have you guys. Thanks for coming out.
Our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I don't need to have this too close to my mouth.
Yeah, he was like, make sure this is on your face. Stick it to your face.
I think this is okay.
You guys sound great.
Okay, I have a British distance here.
Yeah. So, first time in Pittsburgh?
First time staying in Pittsburgh. My wife and I have driven across country a couple times, and we've stayed overnight. But this is a bit longer than overnight, and I'm enjoying it very much.
Yes.
Oh, good. And that's all the time we have for the... Thank you very much. So, I got to ask before we get to their questions. The Walking Dead seems to be an awfully intense physical sort of production. How is it different than any of your other acting jobs, or is it fairly similar?
Other acting jobs, I don't have to go through 3 shirts in a day. I don't have that going for me. Tom's like, I don't do that at all. It's super physical. There's always every time I look at an episode, I'm always like, oh, that's where this got hurt. Oh yeah, that was my hamstring. Oh yeah, that was my knee. Oh yeah, that fell on them in those moments. What about?
I think what you said at the beginning, so I had a lot of ninja stuff going on and everything, and I was wearing a leather coat and a woolen hat, and the physicality of it is really obviously all that kind of stuff. But as Cooper said at the beginning, I went through 3 shirts and stuff. I would finish takes, and the costume department would come in and rip my leather jacket off me. I would literally go. And they would come and take it off me because you sweat so much, and physically your body goes through a lot just because of that, and you're constantly being fed water all the time by the PAs and everyone just to keep you standing the whole time. So then if you have a physical character who does physical stuff, it's even more taxing. You have some physical battle axe stuff going on and everything as well.
Yeah. I saw it. That was
a little bit closer.
This is where it doesn't work. Okay.
Yes.
We had the season 8. There was a lot of that. The real axe I was using. So there's that part where I'm slamming on the gate. And they're like, yeah, use the real axe. It was Mike Sachazemis. He's like, yeah, Cooper, yeah. Apparently you'll break the lock if you hit it with the axe, and you'll break the hinge if you hit it with the axe. So just make sure you hit the chain. And I did 30 swings with this 16-pound, 17-pound axe. And I just remember cramping on the side. I was like, I was like, yeah, one time, sure, let's do it. But yeah, the over and over. And then the worst is when you do something and then the turnaround. So then you have 25 minutes where your body starts cooling down. Then you go right back to the fight and you're like, oh wow, I should not have done any of that. You forget to stretch.
That certainly answered that question. Would you mind some from the audience?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. Let's go. Who's got them? Right down here?
It starts with 1.
It always does.
So Greg Nicotero is a Pittsburgh guy. How is it working with him, creating characters, especially when he's directing? Is he as intense as I remember him before The Walking Dead, whenever I had met him a couple times at cons here?
Oh, intense. That's interesting. I'm not sure if I would describe Greg as intense. No, he's laid-back dude who plays the guitar. But as far as the walkers go, it's a huge part of the show, obviously. I would say, at least 50% of the show is the walkers. And if they didn't have Nicotero and his team on the show, it wouldn't be the same. The inventiveness that they have and the attention to detail and quality of their work is really, really amazing for a television show. Week after week, they come up with all these crazy designs, and they're very, very lucky to have him on their show.
Yeah, Greg's one of those people where I think my first experience as an actor with him, as a boom op, I'd known him for years, but being directed by him, there's this scene where they're like, all right, everyone pulls out a gun. Jerry pulls out his axe. So I pull out my axe. And Greg goes, Cooper, what are you doing? Pull out the gun. I'd shoot you. I'm like, it said so in the script, but I didn't say that. I was like, great idea, thank you, Greg. So it's like, perfect, thank you. But yeah, Greg, I mean, he's been, especially over the years, it's like my relationship with him, he's been like fine, like letting me like do some things, and he's like, all right, let's see what this is. I'm like, all right, Greg, hold on. But yeah, intense. Yeah. Oh yeah,
he's
great.
insanely good at what he does.
Super focused. And like you said, there'd be times where it's like, everything's ready, it's about to be this big explosion action, okay, and then he'd come in and like, okay, put more, I just need to see more blood in your mouth, man. Just more blood. Let me just see, your teeth are too white. Okay. And then like he'd sprint back to Village to watch it from there.
Okay, so it looks like we have a question from the last row, last seat in the whole event. Let's see who's got it.
Oh, okay. When you were on The Walking Dead, did you ever feel weird when your character got called Jesus?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, it's just another name at the end of the day. Yeah, it's just another name. And people would come up and ask me, like, why is he called Jesus? And I'm like, it is nothing more complicated than he has long hair and a beard, and he's a nice guy. That's it. And like, that's, it's like any other nickname, And Jesus was a cool guy. So it was really fun to play. I mean, in my personal life, it is very, very strange that people yell at me in the street or whisper it as they walk past me. It's really a fun time, but it's amazing at the conventions because everyone is shouting and enjoying it. And it was the best thing about being on the show is that there is a really nice community around it, and everyone has a lot of fun with it. So it was cool. I love playing the character, and I love being called Jesus. It never gets old. It's great.
All right back there.
All right, I have two questions if you don't mind. One for both of you. Is it ever weird, like, seeing yourselves on a big show? Like, if you ever watch The Walking Dead, where an episode you're in, is it ever weird for you?
For me, every time I see my face, I think automatically, I'm like, oh, this show went to crap. I was like, what did they do? It's always for me, it's always like a bite my finger and hope this went well, because like we at the end of the day of filming, I feel great about it, but then you're also like, well, let's see what the editor wanted, and then or what they thought was good, and then you're like, was that my best take? Oh, is that? And so I have like a few months where I can watch myself, and then I can't. It's so weird. Yes. Yeah. Very weird.
My first experience of how big the show was when I went to Madison Square Garden for my first premiere, which was the beginning of season 6, and no one knew that I was in the show yet, really. And I had shot 3 episodes at that point, and they were already in the can. And I went to the premiere at Madison Square Garden, and my pants, because I was like, oh my God, like, a lot of people watch this show, and a lot of people care about this show. I mean, at the time, it was like the biggest show in the world, and I was just a bit disconnected from that. Like, and also, we kind of are, like, we go out to Atlanta and shoot, and it is, just south of Atlanta, and it's a very kind of contained process, and so you're not really in contact with how big the show is, and then once you've been on the show and you've met all the fans and you've been to the shows, then you get it. But when I saw the premiere, everyone came out on stage. Madison Square Garden goes completely insane. Seth gets booed, who plays Father Gabriel, gets booed by the entirety of Madison Square Garden, which Seth will give you his trauma about if you ask him. And Norman rode in on a motorcycle, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope I did a good job. Like, oh my God, people are going to watch me in this show. Because you just, and especially at that time, like, I was a big comic book character. And like, there's so many people who watch who read the comic books, who were expecting this character. And I would hear at cons like, oh, dude, your character. And so there was a lot of pressure behind that. But also the fact that I hadn't worked for like a year before I did Walking Dead, partially by choice and partially because I didn't get any jobs. And so when I first turned up on set, like, I kind of had to get back into the swing of things, and definitely my first few days were, I was like overperforming a little bit, or like, because I was just trying to find my way, and it was a big show. And so, like Cooper just said, you never know which takes they're going to use or like how it's going to work out, and luckily it worked out in the end. But yes, I was definitely freaked out at the beginning.
Okay, and second question, just for Tom. What do you think Jesus would be thinking if he were still alive in the current season? What would you think of the Commonwealth and who's in the current group?
Well, first of all, he'd have killed a lot of Whisperers. And that would have been over really quickly. Yeah. But secondly, I'm not sure. I think, Jesus was never like a leader character, and that was kind of his problem with the hilltop and all that kind of stuff. So I think he would still have been a very useful member of the team. And I think he was getting pretty good at mediating between people and helping out. So I don't know. I don't know if he would ever really grown into someone with like a strident opinion about how things would have gone, but and I don't know where it's all going, so I can't give an opinion on that. But yeah, I think he could have fit in. He was good at fitting in.
What was the audition process like for the show?
Oh yeah, I don't think I've heard Coop. So you tell that one first, because I don't think I've heard yours.
Oh, gee, mine. I did. Mine was. I taped 4 different versions on a Friday and a Saturday. I was booked on a Monday. Flew in that Monday. We did the makeup tests and the table read Tuesday, and I was filming by Wednesday.
Do you know what part you were reading for?
It was a guy named Lester. It was definitely for me. But it was they said, come in with this Biggie energy. So like just very like Zen, like, yo, chilled up as chill, like that. And I was this is when I realized, don't do an audition for a character that you might be playing for a few years. Don't play it that way. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, what? I'm like, I'm gonna do like, had I had to play 7 years of a character like that, how I auditioned, I would have been so upset. So the night before we were filming, I had this, I was going to say Zoom, but before Zoom, there's this thing called Skype, and we used it, and it was awesome. So I Skyped with Scott Gimple, and it was from an audition that he had seen me do 2 years prior, and he said, it was from your slate. When you smile, it makes me very happy, and when you frown, it scares the shit out of me. So maybe we play it like he's a really happy guy, and then when things go bad, he goes berserk. And I was like, I love everything about that. Now I know where I'm going with it. But yeah, I was in a swimming pool shooting a fight scene. I was holding the camera for this fight sequence, and my manager was like, Cooper, you sitting down? And I hate that kind of thing. I'm like, no, what's up? Well, you got picked for The Walking Dead, and they want you to fly in tonight. And my response was, oh, that's great. Can I come in tomorrow? Can I leave tomorrow? And then they were just like, what? And then it was a complete confusion. But that was mine. It was, similar. For such a massive show, it's astonishing how late in the day they cast you. Yeah.
Because I was I live in California, but I was in England at the time, and I put myself on tape on a Wednesday for like all fake scenes. I had no idea what I was auditioning for. I knew I was Walking Dead, but I didn't know what the part was or anything. Sent the tape on Wednesday. Got cast on Friday. Same thing. They wanted me to fly out, but my girlfriend at the time, now wife, was in Sweden, and I was planning on going to see her that weekend. And I was like, guys, I got to do this, because I didn't know how long I was going to be going to Atlanta for. So I was like, I got to do this, otherwise I'll be in the bad books. So I flew to Sweden Saturday morning, and then Sunday flew through London to Atlanta and started shooting on Wednesday. And I had to get fitted for a beard, and they had a lot of vision when they cast me, because I had short hair and no beard, and they cast me for this character with long hair and big beard. So I had this whole fitting in London, then flew to Atlanta and started shooting on Wednesday. So it was really, really quick. But I don't know how they do it for such a quick process. They cast so well on that show. Like, everyone who turns up for every part is just perfect. They just turn up and you go, oh my God, that's that character. Like, when Kari turned up, when Cooper turned up, like, they were the newest characters after I turned up. And it was just exactly right. And Jeffrey as Negan and everyone all kind of fit so well. So, I mean, I got to take my hats off to them in how they do it. It's really magic.
Question right down here.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Pretty well.
First of all, thank you for coming out and sharing all of your experience with everybody. Fantastic to see you guys up there. My question is sort of a technical one, background of the show and everything. It's common to hear accidents on screen that become part of canon and become part of the movie. And this is for both of you. If you could share, if you know of any accidents that turned out right and made the scenes.
Turned out right? It made it in the scenes. It didn't turn out. I didn't think. So there's season 8. I have this scene where I am in this moving truck with Simon and his folk, and I'm like, I stand on the thing.
God, I remember this.
And then I have to like fall on my knees, and then I just slide down the moving truck ramp. So that friction is gonna cling to your pants. And so pretty much by the time I slid down, I'm half mooning everybody. And then we have we have Simon giving like a 4-page scene, and I got the guy with the gun to my head trying to pick up my pants for me, like, while still being like, I'm gonna shoot you in the head, let me just help you with this with my shoe, no one's gonna notice. And I'm like, okay, surely they won't use that. So apparently I have a big butt, so regardless of whatever the angle was, I'm like, that is on the show forever. So
is it really in there?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not that take, but every time the pants came down a little bit.
Oh my God.
And I was like, great.
I remember, because I was in that scene, and just watching you crash down the ramp was kind of terrifying every time.
Oh, yeah.
I was really worried for you in that scene. Which was good, because that's how I was supposed to be. So that was fine. I don't remember anything, actually. If I do, I'll bring it up. But I don't remember anything. Oh, actually, I do. I do remember one thing. So, Walking Dead shoots really fast. Like there's 3 cameras a lot of the time, and I did a lot of work on my fight choreography and everything. And what's really important for shooting fights and stuff is getting the angle right so that the hits land and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes when you shoot really fast, you're not necessarily going to get the right angles, and you're going to see that I'm not really hitting someone, and you'll see there's a massive gap there. So there was one bit when, I guess this was season 7, when the hilltop gets a bit overrun, and Maggie ends up using the big tractor to kill a bunch of walkers. And so I come in, and I'm like kicking ass. So there was a move that we shot that was meant to be a knee to the face. So I jump off a trailer and knee the walker in the face. And if you're shooting it from behind the walker, that would be fine. But they chose a shot which was from the side, so you could see that I missed the walker by about this much. So what they did was they CGI'd my leg. So it looks like I kicked him in the face. And I was really impressed. I was like, cool, that makes me look great. But because, I mean, I'm sure it cost them a lot of money. Because, I mean, they must have seen the edit and gone, well, he's like 2 feet away from the walker. This is ridiculous. So they gave me an extra leg. So I kind of got, like, I'm like kneeing here. So I guess I've got, you can't see this part of my leg, but I've got like 2 feet. Anyway, I was very impressed by that. But yeah, that's, okay, I just remember that.
Another question from that side of the room?
What's your favorite episode?
I liked my first and last in the show. I was really happy with that because on a show with as many people on it, like you just hope for moments that make you stand out and give you some fun stuff to do. And even after my first episode, like it really resonated with fans, and they were always coming up to me about that. So that was really fun. And then my last episode as well, because I really enjoyed that spoiler alert, that was like a real like instantaneous lights out moment, and it was still like a kind of shocking, surprising thing, and it introduced the whole new bad guys. So I was happy with that, because at heart, like, I'm a storyteller, and like it's not necessarily about me. It's just about what tells the story the best way, and I really liked that moment in the show.
Yeah, no, I'd still love that fight.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that was so cool looking at all the. Mine, there's so many moments, and there's my favorite episodes of that we shot, and favorite episodes that we just like behind the scenes that I enjoyed. But this episode that's coming out in like I guess a month and a half, that might be my favorite personal episode. It gets fun. I like being in new spots and seeing new things, and that's all I'll say about it. But it's cool, and we finally get to see me like break out the sword in a fun way. So yeah, that one. That
your favorite episode is one that no one's ever seen.
You've never seen it? It's pretty cool. No one.
So you got to watch it.
So watch. Well, zombies die.
Zombies? Ah, okay.
Yeah, and Jerry uses the word zombie. It's pretty exciting.
For the first time in the whole show, somebody says zombie. That's what happens.
One more back on that side.
Tom, specifically.
Yes, hello.
Did you know what or how long you signed on for?
Wow, that's real behind the scenes stuff. Yes. I mean, yes. You sign like a long contract when you start on a show like this, which is generally like 7 years, but sometimes 6. And after 3 years, you can renegotiate your money, basically. And so actors choose to do that, and like networks choose to do that with you, or they choose not to do it with you. And they killed me before we did any of that. I don't think there's any coincidence there. I don't know. But anyway.
I didn't mean it that way so much.
No, but that's basically what happened. So yes, contractually, yeah, I did kind of know what the deal was. And okay. But also, I had done 3 years, and 3 years is long enough for me on a TV show. Okay. That was the longest I'd ever been on a show. And I was... I was like, if we're not going to do anything else cool, then I'm cool with... I actually had a conversation with the showrunners, like, if we're not going to do anything cool with the character, then you can kill me, that's cool. And they did. And it was fun, I'm like, cool. Because I got through we went through the whole of All Out War, and no one died. Like, no one big died in this big fight with the Saviors. And I said, this is part of the conversation that I had. And I was like, just kill people. Like, kill me. Like, the fans. Because I was so in tune with the fans at all of these cons and everything. And we have all these conversations all the time. And I was a big fan as well. And I'm like, yeah, I love it when the show does these things and those things. And if that means that I'm, sacrificed in service to that, then I was happy with it. And I was really happy with how it ended. It sounds like I was annoyed about it, but I wasn't really at all. I thought it was perfectly timed and worked out well, yeah.
And if you were both watching the show as a fan, besides yourself, who would your favorite character be?
Is your favorite character you?
I liked my character.
I love my character. I don't know, I can't. I was like, that Jerry, he's the best. Look at him, just standing. No, my new favorite is Mercer.
Oh yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, I dig that guy. Yeah, Mercer, and then before that was Shane. As my favorite character. And I always say this, but Shane doesn't sound so crazy when we look at season 4 and on. It's like, oh, actually, he kind of said it. And he wasn't even the worst of it. It's so he saw it coming. Yeah, I
think some of the best characters were close to the beginning as well. I love Rooker's character Merle, who's just people who come in and had a real strong impact. And Shane, I love Stephen Yeun. There are some cool characters in there that made a strong impact, which I really, really enjoyed. Yeah, I like Merle and Shane, I think.
Let's go to the other side of the room. Right over here is a question.
I had a question for Cooper. Jerry is such a lovable character on the show. I know me personally, if he ever got killed off, I'd be really upset. But if you could choose the way if Jerry were to go out, how would it be?
I've thought about this. I was always like, all right, they can't take time for everyone's death, and so I wanted to show me surrounded by this many walkers. All right, dead. Me like chewed up a little bit with an axe in the tree and just eating an apple and just chewing it, and then having a whole episode of Jerry dying for 1 hour by. I want to take up the whole time, and everyone would just. And it would be a clip episode, so people would come to me, and I'd be like, "What was your favorite time around here?" And then we would go into flashbacks, and they become back with Jerry on a tree, dying.
So it'd be like Carl dying in the sewer for a whole episode.
Yes, just a clip episode. But mine's at the a tree.
Yeah, you have a nice vista.
Yeah, there's a tree.
Yeah, that's great.
We're going to stay on this side of the room with a question here.
Does being on a set of a zombie movie kind of ruin that genre for you, like as a viewer of movies now?
Makes more critical of it, but I don't know. I enjoy it more. I'm always like, I was talking about it with someone just a few moments ago where it was like, what would you do if these it was the clickers. Here. Yeah, it's like, what would you do if you had runners, and sprinters, and I'd be like, I don't know. So when I watch the other zombie things, I like to see like, what would I do? I'd die.
Yeah, I think it's because Walking Dead is very much like more kind of Dawn of the Dead show as far as like how the walkers behave. I'm a big like 28 Days Later fan, and I can't wait for the Last of Us show because I play those games and they're amazing. And same thing, but they're like fast walkers, which is a whole different thing. So no, it hasn't really ruined it, but I do think that The Walking Dead has been on for 11 years now, and I think it's quite hard to do that type of walker or zombie now without being compared to The Walking Dead. So I think it might have like not put a nail in the coffin, but just kind of slowed down that way of doing it now. And I think the faster ones or something will be more of a deal now. I can't wait for The Last of Us. I think that's going to reinvent it again.
Yeah. And right down here, another question.
Hello. So one of the most interesting things I thought about The Walking Dead was that it launched something like Talking Dead, which followed it, and now there's versions of that exist for a lot of popular shows. What were your guys' experiences like on that, doing kind of that after show where you get to talk kind of directly to the fans?
For me, I love Talking Dead, but there's the one issue with it is that we're still, a lot of the time, we'll still be in the middle of filming when we do some of them, or we'll be like, wait, did this episode come out? So I'm constantly watching, or I'm like, oh, don't talk about that, don't, and I'm like, and so I get very like stuttered, and I get in my head. So I enjoy it, but it's also like don't spoil anything. They literally have a sniper on you.
But that's like a whole experience of being on The Walking Dead, like constantly. Yeah. I was just saying earlier on, it's like so much nicer for me now because I don't know. Well, I know a little bit now because I ask because I want to know what happens at the end now. But I've been like out of it for a while, and I don't have to keep those secrets anymore, and that's just amazing. Like it is a definite sense of relief when you leave that you don't have to keep any secrets about the show anymore. But I thought that was very prescient of AMC to do that. Like the fan culture has become so huge over the last 10 or so years, and I think it was a really cool move for them to do that, and it engaged the fans even more and helped to build the show. Absolutely. It just brought the water cooler like onto TV basically, and everyone's like having their theories and entertaining their different ideas about everything, and that's what we do at the cons, and I thought that was a really clever thing that they did, and I love being on it. I thought it was really, it's always fun to go on there and mess around with Chris and have a good time. It also shoots near my house, so it's great.
So I got time for 2 more questions. You guys are headed back to your table to sign after this, am I correct?
Absolutely.
So great, they're going to go back to their table after we're done. We got time for 2 more, one right here.
I have a very complicated question.
Okay, we have time for it.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. It's for the 2 of you. What's your favorite scene that you guys are in?
So in a few weeks, there's going to be this episode. But one that, I mean, ones that I've done, I like all my scenes with Kari, any Ezekiel, Jerry scene, I just enjoy because we get along so well, and then it's almost like if you laugh, you ruin it. Okay, don't laugh. You don't laugh. I'm not gonna laugh. And then and then we have these scenes where we have that sort of like in our heads of like we're just giggling about some stupid stuff, but it's all these blurs with him. But yeah, like my scenes with Kari are like my favorite scenes.
I think having Norman Reedus chase you around a field is always fun. In the middle of the summer sun in Atlanta, watching him gasp for breath is hilarious. That was pretty funny. Outside of that, like I was really lucky to have at the beginning, because of like my role in the show, I was lucky to have scenes with kind of all of the main players at once, which was really, really cool. Yeah, that was, and I also got, I was just asking Cooper before we came out, did you ever get one of the lines just before the titles? And Cooper said no, and I'm like, because I remember I had that line, your world's about to get a whole lot bigger, and then it went to the titles, and I could have died happy then, really. I was like, this is cool, like this iconic television show, and I get one of those lines that cuts into the titles. Like, that was really fun and exciting. So yeah, I mean, there are loads of moments on that show, actually. Loads of great scenes that you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is super fun. I mean, there's a few that stand out. So yeah, Norman chasing me around a field is definitely one.
There's one of the first scenes, or is my second episode, and it's when you introduce Rick and everybody.
Yeah, when they're all behind me, and that was really cool.
That was awesome for me for a few things, and it was also devastating for me because that's also when I found out that it was Glenn and Abraham. Because Christian, when we did this on the sides of the script, Morgan goes, "Who died?" And then Christian was making fun of it because on the side she goes, "We lost number 1."
Oh yeah.
We lost number 2. And so we're doing this wide.
I forgot that.
Yeah, we're doing this wide shot of everyone coming in, and it's like, "Who died?" And then it's like Glenn, Abraham, and that's when I'm first finding out as a fan. I'm like I'm just reacting to these things. But in that same scene, Andy's coming down. He's like, "Kang, Ezekiel," and I have the thing, and I wave at him, and he gives me this like the people's eyebrow from hell. He's like, looks at me like that, and then he continues this thing. I'm like, oh, I pissed him off. He's so angry. And then he comes up to me after the scene. He's like, "Did you just effing wave at me?" And I'm like, "Yes." "That's effing awesome. Do that again, please." Yeah, dude, I almost cracked up. Do that. I was like, whoo. And I was like, so yeah, that was the scene. I remember that scene well.
And one last question, and once again, they'll be back at their tables when we're done. Here's the last question.
Hi, I actually have 2 questions. One for Tom and then one for both of you. Tom, with doing Walking Dead and The Prodigal Son, which one would you say was your favorite to film?
Oh, come on. I mean, they're both very different. I mean, Walking Dead changed my life, and I was super excited about it. And the best thing about Walking Dead for me, I've said this before, is meeting all of the fans and having that real fan experience of joining a show that so many people are enjoying and watching every Sunday. And as much fun as I had on that show, the fan base was the most fun part of it, because the work itself wasn't very taxing for me. Apart from the martial arts was the hardest part of that show, because that character was very chill, and there wasn't much acting required to really do that part. Prodigal Son was, and I would talk about that as well. Prodigal Son was do all of the acting you can possibly do and do it right now, from 5:30 in the morning until 8 at night. So it was and I was also the lead of that show. So it's an amazing. You take on another responsibility when you're that. So you're the head of a cast and a crew and everything, and it's very rewarding, but it's very, very draining, but very rewarding. And I loved working on that show, and I got to do great scenes with Michael Sheen and Lou Diamond Phillips and all these amazing people that I really admire. And so I don't really have favorites because they're very different shows. But I definitely, as hard as it was, because Walking Dead, one of the hardest things about being an actor really is not working. And so even when you're on a show sometimes and you're not like the lead guy, you're not working all the time, it's not annoying because, I'm not the lead. It's because you're not working. So you're just kind of waiting. And on Walking Dead, I would shoot maybe 2 days a week, 2 or 3 if I'm lucky. And on Prodigal Son, I was there like every single day. And that's everything you want. You want to work as an actor. So in that sense, I enjoyed that more. But Walking Dead will never leave me. That's why we're just all bonded together forever, and that's amazing. And I'm sure in 20 years we'll all do a retrospective and we'll all get together, and it's amazing. What an amazing thing to be part of one of the biggest television shows ever. I feel very fortunate. Yeah.
And then for both of you, if you guys could choose a Marvel or DC character to ever be, who would you choose?
Oh. I got to mess around with, I did that animation of Aquaman, which was fun for me because I grew up watching, like Kevin Conroy, Batman, Robin, and just having all these, this DC influence my entire life growing up. So I would always want to be a DC character.
But you're in DC though.
I am in DC, yeah. So I'll take Victor Vasquez. No, but yeah, Lobo was someone I always wanted to mess around with. And then then all the people who I thought could be Lobo, they're already other DC characters. So I'm like, all right, well,
that's cool. You got a chance.
Yeah, but yeah, I would. Yeah, Lobo.
Could they use the character that you're playing in Shazam? Could they flip that into someone?
They could do a thing. I wouldn't want it to happen. Everyone's like, "What happens if you get Shazammed?" I'm like, I would have to wear a harness and I'd be in a lot of pain. And I don't want to do that. But I get over it.
That must really hurt with Zach because he's a big dude.
Oh yeah. I mean, we had this next one coming up. I mean, they're just up there. They're just up there getting wedgies all day.
That's not fun.
Just frying the thighs.
That's not fun. I would like to be a more height-appropriate Wolverine, but I have to put on some weight again. But I'd like them to get a height-appropriate Wolverine because Hugh did an amazing job, and I mean, I'm too tall. Wolverine's 5'3", so it should be some that's half of his issue. He's a small, angry man. So we need a small, angry man in the DC. I'm sorry, in the Marvel universe to move that character forward. And I'm sure that's what they're going to do next. You have to go different from Hugh, who's a big, huge guy. I think they're going to get a small, angry man, and I can't wait to see who it is.
Well, thank you so much for the panel.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Walking Dead panel, Tom Payne and Cooper Andrews. You can do better than that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Keep it going. Excellent panel, guys. Thank you.
Hi, this is Aaron Ashmore, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe like now. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.